Good morning, it's Penuel the Black Pen. Let me start off by saying this. I released a video about why I left the Zulu nation and the Zulu kingdom. I decided to make the video in isiZulu. I have made a couple of videos in the past in English about the exact same thing, but this time I decided to make it in isiZulu. Some of the people in the comments were laughing at my Zulu, even though I'd given a disclaimer at the beginning that, look, I've been living outside of KwaZulu and I grew up in Newcastle for a long time. So my Zulu is not as deep as it could be, but I thought they were just being petty. The reality is that most Zulu people, they speak Zulu like me. I think my grapple of the Zulu language is actually pretty dope. Abantu abazokhuluma isiZulu bayakwazi ukungizwa kahle ukuthi nje isiZulu ngisikhuluma ngendlela engafundiswa nami ngakhona. Kodwa manje vele isiZulu samasijulile. The other thing I did in the video is I added a summary in the description to explain to people that are not Zulu speaking or Zulu understanding what the video is about in summary. One of my paying members very sadly went and made a comment about I'm smart enough to have added subtitles to this video, and they believe that in my making a video in isiZulu is nothing different to the ANC's division. I thought that was malicious, quite pathetic and petty. The reality is almost all my videos, I'd say 99 point whatever percent, are in English. That is not to say that my channel is an English channel, but it's just English is my language of preference. I've made one or two videos in Afrikaans, fumbling my way in Afrikaans. No one has ever commented and said, add subtitles, we don't understand, you're causing division. Maybe in the last 3 weeks, that is like my second video I make in isiZulu. And for someone to go and say that, for me, is just indicative of the success of the British colonial project, that if you're not speaking English, you're being disrespectful to other people. We live in a country where almost half of the people understand the Nguni language, Zulu, Xhosa, Swati, and Ndebele. So I thought that was quite silly, especially like I said, because there's a summary in the description explaining what the video is about. But again, it's just the white supremacy, English supremacy project is clearly winning. Outside of that, I dreamt about my family, Ekvugeni, my matriarchal side of the family, my mother's side of the family, from Ekvugeni township near Ladysmith, Mnambit in KZN. My grandmother, my matriarchal grandmother, or my maternal rather grandmother, is getting quite old, Umaria Utemba. I love her very much, and I know I need to make time to go and see her. I dreamt about my family. I dreamt I was going to see them and visit them, and I think that is my subconscious telling me, hey baba, hamyovakasha ekhaya, khumule ekhaya, goduka. Go home and visit your mother's side of the family. I've spent some time recently with my father's side of the family, and I still have a very, very deep desire to get a deeper understanding of my maternal grandmother's lineage. And I would really, really like to connect more with my maternal grandfather's lineage, the Amin family from Pietermaritzburg and those type of areas. I have children, and I counsel a lot of parents, a lot of men in particular, around this concept of children. And there are so many things that we are doing wrong and so many things that are so painful. I think before I speak about children, I just need to say this one thing. I have been trying to educate my family in various ways over the years, and I'm reminded every now and then what is most important. If you have the ability with your immediate and extended family, please focus on getting them jobs. That becomes the number one game changer for their lives, because it allows them, number one, an ability to do work and be stimulated daily, something to do. And number two, it allows them to earn an income, which sustains them and can also sustain and change the lives of other family members around them, especially if they have children. If you can help your family members get jobs, whether working for you or for other people, please prioritize that, because that becomes the greatest gift and life-changing act you can do for them. If not that, help them acquire skills. We'll call it decent schooling, but the schooling system is not great. Maybe short courses. Take some of your cousins, send them to a course to do electrical work, some plumbing work, maybe pay someone to be like, please teach them how to do hair, so that they have a skill that they can use to make their own money somewhere. So maybe invest in that. This thing of just blindly buying them groceries, sending them money to drink, taking them out, it's cute, of course, but it is not life-changing, because it is not a sustainable gift they can use to change their lives. A lot of women have asked me before, why is it so important for a man to give the child his surname? And there's a historical, cultural aspect to that. From a black, from a white Western European perspective, it's patriarchy. Men had more rights. Women were seen as second-class citizens. So the woman, when she marries, would go into the man's family and take his surname, and she would wear a ring to kind of show I am owned by this man. I know people disagree with that narrative, but essentially that's what it was. Men had the rights, they had the property rights, etc. So that would be it. From an African perspective, the land would be under a man's name, not a surname, a name. My Zulu name is Lungelo. So if I owned a piece of land, that land would be KwaLungelo. Everyone would know that if they land on my land, it would be Lungelo's land. If it's Penal, it would be Penal's land, Penalville, if you may. And my children there would be the children of Penal. It's like if you are a South African citizen, you are from South Africa. If you are a Spanish citizen, you are from Spain. So that land would be your land, Penal Lungelo. So the people that live there, whether it is my wife, my children, my workers, anyone based there, would be the people of Penwell Lungelo, KwaLungelo, the people of KwaZulu, uZulu kamalandela, being a person. That's how it would be defined culturally. And if a young girl who lives on her father's land, the father could be Penwell Lungelo, and another man comes to take her as his wife, she would leave her father's land to go and live on another man's land. That man could be Utemba Sipho Mkhize. So she would now be under Mkhize's land, or Temba's land, or Sipho's land, and she would become a wife of KwaTemba, KwaSipho, KwaMkhize. Women would not have their name, whether it is Usbongile, Utandi, whatever name. They would not have land named after them, that this is the land of Utandi. This is Tandi's land. This is Sbongileville. This is the land of Usbongile. It didn't work like that, unfortunately. It is the history of patriarchy. And because of that, like when the child is born, the child is either born at the girl's father's land because she's not married. So it would be KwaPenwell, KwaLungelo, KwaMlotshwa. So that child born of that daughter would take my name, my surname under my land. If the daughter has a child to Temba or Sipho Mkhize, then the child that is born there, that daughter's child, becomes the child of Temba Sipho Mkhize, not the mother. Now today you find a lot of black girls who say things like, no, the child will take my surname. There is no female surname. If a woman has a surname, it is either the surname of her father or the surname of what she calls her mother, which is also not her mother's surname. It is her grandfather's surname. Because every surname we have is from a man somewhere, which had to do with the land of that man. And with the land of the man obviously comes his religious beliefs, his cultural beliefs, his language, etc., etc. So when a woman says, why can't the child take my surname? It is not your surname. It is your father's name. So what happens now when you give birth to a child, and why a man is so sensitive about the child taking his surname, it is because it is the only identifier he has that this child is his. You can give a child names, but when you're walking out in the streets, no one knows who gave that child a name. You look at, let's say, my daughter, Culture, Nkanyezi. When Culture's in the streets, no one knows if it's myself or her mom or her grandparents or someone else that gave her the names Culture, Nkanyezi. No one knows, and no one generally cares. The name is just that. But when it comes to the surname, it is specific about who the father of the child is. Because when a woman is pregnant and gives birth, it's pretty clear, this is my child. I don't need to shout to the world that this is my child. I birthed this child. So it is clear. But with the father, it is not. And we live in an era of utatako where paternity is very sensitive. And not all men know that this is my child, this is not. So the one way for a woman and for the man to know that this is my child is through the surname. Now you've got very dodgy women who go and sleep with different men and they have kids and they're not sure who the father is. And now if the father could be one of three men, it could be Umlotshwa, it could be Umkhize, it could be Ubuthelezi. The one way she can protect the identities by ensuring that none of these men get to label this child with the surname. And then the surname becomes hers, well, her father's or her grandfather's. But that's not how it's meant to be, because this child has got a father, and the father is present, and the father is willing to show responsibility and take accountability for this child and maintain and raise this child. And you're like, no, but you didn't marry me, therefore. It doesn't work like that. Even culturally, it didn't work like that. The man would go, and even if he's not marrying you, he would go the child and bring the child into his family and take the child away from your father's land. It is only when he takes you from your father's land onto his land that you also change your surname. It was very much a land, family, the man's name thing. It wasn't just, oh, you must marry me, then I will change. That's why today I even say, like, I don't understand why independent women want to change their surnames. You've bought your own house, you have your own job, you make your own money. Why would you want to be under another man's name? It means you want to be owned. No, it's not owned. It is. It's actually ownership. Until we have a philosophical conversation about what marriage is, the concept of wearing a ring, which is a shackle to show that someone owns you. That's what it actually means. We can speak in community of property, out of community of property. We can speak civil marriage. Fundamentally, it was about ownership. Are you a South African citizen? Here is your ID. Are you a wife of Gwamlotshwa, which means you are under Umlotshwa? Umlotshwa is the custodian of the house of the family. Because he is a Zulu man, he gets to dictate that this family is going to be a Zulu family, even though you come from the Sotho nation. Your children will be Zulu because of the father. It is the legacy of patriarchy, and it requires a philosophical conversation. Why do you want to change your surname? Why are you not creating your own surname? Ideally for me, I wish every child could just have names given by the parents, and then people will identify them by their parents' names. So if there's uSibongile and there's uPenwen, then the child will be uNkunzimalanga kaSibongile noPenwen. Those are your parents' names. Forget the surnames because they're so complicated. Most of us don't know the history. And a lot of us, because our mothers never gave us our father's surnames, or you realize your surname is from the Sotho clan, meanwhile your father was actually from the Bedis, it becomes such a mess. But the reality is, for many men, we do not know if a child is ours until a woman is comfortable to be like, I want the whole world to know that this child is your surname, therefore it is your child. And no one can be like, hey, Don, are you sure that that's your child? Because the mother's never really assigned the surname to you. That means she could be telling another guy somewhere, hey, this is your child. And you guys are busy contributing together. So at a very base level, it is saying, I am comfortable, sir, to let the whole world know and my family know that this child was made by you. And therefore the child will take your surname. I think that's a very important conversation that we need to be having as a people, because it will resolve a lot of matters, especially in black communities. From a cultural, ancestral perspective, it will lower a lot of violence, a lot of animosity. And then we have to speak about this thing of damages in the new era where men and women, adults, are having mutual consensual sex, but then the man still has to pay a fee, a penalty for sleeping and impregnating a woman as if he violated her when she engaged very soberly with this man and chose to conceive and have a child with him, because in the past she was on contraceptives, she had abortions of men's kids she didn't want to have. Very sensitive, very important conversation that we need to have as people, which will heal a lot of families as well. Penuel the Black Pen, have a great and blessed day. Cheers.